Hey y'all, and welcome to PolitiBrawl. My name is Brian, and AOC and Bernie Sanders get put on blast by Karoline Leavitt, and all because they are really the new thought leaders of their party. Let's dive in.
Does that take away the president's leverage to end the shutdown?
I'm so glad you asked, because I have a very strong response. This is another far-left partisan judge who was smacked down by the Supreme Court in July for ruling on this exact same thing. In May, this judge tried to say that the President of the United States does not have the executive authority to hire and fire in the executive branch. Literally, nobody would ever try to make that argument except for someone who is extremely partisan. And of course, the Supreme Court rejected that ruling in July, and they said, no, the president does have the ability and the legal authority to fire people from the federal government. That is a responsibility of his job as the head of the executive branch. And so you have the same judge going back to the bench and ruling on the basis of politics. We are 100% confident we will win this on the merits of the law, and these layoffs are an unfortunate consequence of the government shutdown. We are now on day 16 of this Democrat shutdown. Democrats just voted again for the 10th time to keep the government closed and to keep the American people hostage. And we're seeing the consequences of it every day. We've had thousands of flights delayed and canceled. Air traffic controllers, TSA agents continue to work without pay. The president tapped into tariff revenue to keep WIC money for women and infants and children going out the door. The president found a creative solution to keep the troops paid. And rather than congratulate the president for doing that, this unprecedented action to get our troops paid, the Democrats want to sue him for it. They're saying that it's illegal. This just shows they don't care about the people who are hurting. They are shutting down the government purely for partisan politics because they don't like Donald Trump. And the only people that are suffering from that are federal government employees who are being laid off from their jobs, who are not being paid for their jobs, our military, our federal law enforcement, and the American people who can't catch a plane with holiday season coming up because flights are being delayed and canceled. Democrats need to do the right thing. And I don't know if you guys caught the CNN town hall last night with AOC and Bernie Sanders, but I sure did. And it's very clear that they are now the leaders of the Democrat Party. And the Democrats are in complete disarray. And we hope a few moderate Democrats with some common sense will step up to the plate and do the right thing to vote to open the federal government.
Thank you, Caroline.
There's putting people on blast, and then there's being brilliant. Okay? There was no real reason to throw that little quip out there at the end about AOC and Bernie Sanders, even though it's very deserved. So, what's the point of it? Why are we not focusing on the wins about Venezuela, which, by the way, I think there are reports that we've got covert operations already underway. Maduro has messed around for too long, and he's about to find out. We could be talking about that. We could be talking about how the Democrats are in disarray, and we actually will. We could be talking about the shutdown and what it really represents, but there's a very interesting tidbit, because AOC and Bernie Sanders had a town hall meeting last night. It did not really go well for them. They were actually asked some tougher questions. They get exasperated by it. And you know what, I'll play the clip in a moment, but they kind of are the thought leaders in the Democrat Party now. The Democrat Party has been in its own miniature civil war, fighting for its very soul. Are they going to remain corporate, middle of the road? We just want everything to stay the same. Well, basically what the conservatives used to be before we realized, oh, we've got to change some things. Or are they going to go down the route of the Occupy Wall Street movement? This clip, I think, will show you which direction they're going to go.
But are you saying that Senator Schumer should not be worried about a primary challenge from you?
I mean,
all right.
No.
Let me jump in on this one. This is
what we're talking about.
That's exactly what we're talking about.
This is what we're talking about.
You have a country that is falling apart. We had a housing crisis, a healthcare crisis, an education crisis, massive income and wealth inequality, a corrupt campaign finance system, and the media says, oh, you're going to run. What are you going to run for? Nobody cares. So run more towards
Nobody cares. It's the House Speaker and President Trump and the Vice President saying it.
All right.
Pardon?
Well, of course, they're saying it to deflect attention away from the real issues.
Exactly.
And here, let me tell you what the real issue is. Let's see if CNN talks about it. We're living in the richest country in the history of the world, right? All right, you tell me why we're the only nation not to guarantee health care to all people, the only nation not to guarantee paid family and medical leave. why we have a $7.25 an hour minimum wage, why we have 800,000 people sleeping out on the street, why we have a president who denies the reality of climate change, why we have oligarchs on top who have more and more power every day. Let's talk about that issue, not her own political future. She'll decide that.
Did you catch all that? Let's turn back the clock about 15 years and tell me, what does that sound like? Sounds like Occupy Wall Street rhetoric. And it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked, it hasn't caught fire, it hasn't gotten anyone riled up. No one's doing anything about that. No one's talking about those issues. They are so stale and growing mold that we wouldn't even throw that bread out to the ducks. Okay? Those are talking points that have gone into the trash can. Right? That stuff is getting burned. Because that's pretty much the only way we'll get any use out of it, because the issues are just that stale. This is why Karoline Leavitt's quip was brilliant. After that town hall meeting, when you're talking about moldy, stale talking points that does not fire up their own base, these are the people that's going to be leading the Democrats in the future? First off, Bernie Sanders is not happy in his situation here. You can tell he's not happy, and it's not just because they had to deal with a question about a poignant current topic. No, he's mad for two reasons. One, he has to run point for AOC. He doesn't like doing that. He really does not like doing that. But he does it because he thinks this is the best way to move the narrative and get someone young with fresher blood out there to get his communist utopia. He is not happy that he's the one that has to basically coax her up. And problem number two, Bernie Sanders realizes ultimately that the mainstream media is not really, nice to him. He's noticing that the mainstream media dares to ask a pointed topic that kind of matters. AOC is eyeing an attempt either at the presidency or a run at Chuck Schumer, and it's got him rolling over in bed at night, tossing and turning. The dude's not happy. And by the way, there's a great little line out of Sun Tzu's Art of War. When weak appear strong, when strong appear weak. Whenever Chuck Schumer is out here saying, oh, this increases our leverage, you know the exact opposite is happening. And getting the mainstream media to basically look at these two characters and actually put them under a microscope, we're starting to find, folks, that even the Democrats don't always go in this direction. Again, it's only about 30% of them. The vast majority want to be these moderate corporatists that don't want anything to change because they think they've got it good the way it is. Quite literally, if you were to put a name of that kind of movement, it'd be conservative. That's by definition what conservatives believe. They don't want anything really changing. They want to keep the power dynamics as is. Well, change is here, folks, and the majority of the Democrat Party has to look change in the eye, and as Americans get a look at it, we're starting to realize that, oh, these people look crazy, they act crazy, they talk crazy, and they don't talk about relevant topics. I want to end on this idea. This comes from the Searchlight Institute, which is centrist, moderate. This sounds like exactly what the Democrats want to sound like. What this new poll from Searchlight Institute on climate comes down to is really a question of how you view these charts in conjunction with each other. Don't worry, it'll make sense. Americans are telling Dems that they are too focused on climate change at the expense of issues like affordability. That's where it starts making sense. Basically, after 20 some odd years of telling Americans they're in a crisis, only 22% of the public think that this is a priority. Translation, it's the economy, stupid. Okay? And I'm not translating for you. I'm translating for anyone who has a question about this issue. All right? This audience is smart. You get it. That's why you're here. And even I'm telling the Democrat Party that you need to talk about relevant topics. And I am giving away their own playbook for free. I am giving them a window into salvation for their party, and they're not going to take it. They're going to refuse it because the crazies in their party run the Democrat Party. AOC is its spiritual thought leader now. That says a lot. And Bernie Sanders isn't happy about it. Caitlin Collins isn't really happy about it. She's realizing that, oh, I've sided with the Democrats and now I've got to deal with these knuckleheads? Well, you reap what you sow, Caitlin. But ultimately, Karoline Leavitt struck a brilliant chord. By forcing Americans to focus on these two jokers, she is putting them in a position where the Democrats have less leverage. Quite literally, this is a brilliant display of politics. This is how you move the needle. This is how you divide and conquer. And I mean that in the terms of the phrase, not, actual conquest. And the Democrats keep on falling into their own obvious traps that they used to set up for Republicans. Well, guess whose leg is in the bear trap now? Oh well, I'd say bless their hearts, but not a lot of them have hearts anymore. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. My name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on PolitiBrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.